In a previous slide, we saw how GHG gas accounting is a crucial part of ESG reporting. And we looked at the 7 GHG gases that people track. But usually, emissions are given as equivalents of CO2. So you rarely hear of the other gases. We also talked about the types of emissions that are there according to the GHG protocol. So you'd have Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions. Let's have a recap of Scope 1 emissions. What are Scope 1 emissions? Scope 1 emissions are direct emissions which can be attributed directly to sources owned or controlled by the reporting company. This could be heavy machinery or things like fugitive emissions from your refrigerator, for example, or it can also be the cars which are owned by the company used during commute. So let's look at this, the example of Scope 1 emissions in Odoo. So you're just going to look at employees. We're going to assign a few cars to them, and then we're going to track their emissions. So I'm going to go into my database, my Odoo database, and I'm going to select just that. So within my fleet application, this is where I look at the cars that we have assigned to people. So I can go to configurations. Already under manufacturers, you can see that there are manufacturers which are there by default. You have your Bugatti, you have your Buick, you have your Ford, and you have all these manufacturers. But you can also create your own. For each manufacturer, you can have a model. So for example, if you enter into model, I have created one already for Ford, and this is a model that I have taken. But let's create a new model, and I'm just going to go to the database that I am using. Let's go to fueleconomy.gov.org. So I'm just going to go one step back, and I'm going to select vehicles from 2016, and I'm going to choose a make. So let's say, for example, let's use Ford because I love Ford. And we're going to select a model, let's say C-Max, for example, and let's search. So for C-Max, I can see that there's only 2 cars, and this is what I'm going to take. So I'm going to take the 2016 Ford. I'm just going to copy that. So Ford C-Max energy plug-in hybrid, but I want a gasoline car. So I'm just going to look back, and I just want to see a model that's already existing. I don't want to create a new manufacturer in the system. That's what I'm avoiding, though you can actually do it. So let's look at a Kia. So let's look at a Kia. I think a Kia could be a good one. Yeah, so let's go to Kia, and I'm going to look at 2016 models, and I'm going to choose a Forte. So that's a Forte. So 2016 Kia Forte. So if we go back to our database, I'm just going to configure that one. So that's under configurations. I'm going to create a new model, and it's called a 2016 Forte. And I'm going to select, that's the manufacturer. Vehicle type is a car. Model year is 2016. Seating capacity, I'll say 5. Number of doors, I'll say 4. Color, I can say red. Fuel type, let me say gasoline. Transmission, I want to use automatic. Drive type, I want to use front wheel. And I'm going to skip all this. And now the most crucial part is the CO2 emissions. Now this is how you get it from such databases. You just go to the same site, and in here where we saw it, 2016 Kia Forte, just go to energy and environment, and right here you can see your emissions, 294 grams per mile. So if you go back to your database, this is where you're going to fill that 294, but you have a problem. Here, instead of having grams per mile, you're having it as grams per kilometer. So just click right there, change from kilometers to miles, and then you're going to save. What's an emission standard? Emission standard specifies a regulatory test procedure or guideline under which a vehicle's emissions are measured. So here you can come and select, for example, WLTP, Euro 6 or EPA. That's up to you to decide. So that's already done. I'm going to go to fleet, and here is where I'm going to assign new vehicles to employees. But before that, I'd like to show you my company and how we've set it up. It is a startup to make bicycles. We've just started and we just want to assign cars to people. So these are the people we have in our company. This is how you can see the leadership structure. We have the CEO, we have various people in the middle management, and you have other people working under those middle managers. I want to use miles ahead, and so I'm going to assign a car to him. So I'm going to go to fleet, create a new vehicle, and I'm going to select a model. Like I said already, I had created a Ford. Now I have a Kia, and I'm going to select a number plate. This is a really old car, so I can just select KDB 001D. That's just a Kenyan standard. Depending on the country you're in, you can just put the correct license plate or the actual one. I'm going to select a driver. My driver is called Miles Ahead. And what do you see here? There's an employee that's related to it. If I want, I can assign a future driver, etc. So for assignment date, I'm going to select a date as far back as 2024 or 2023, 1st December, and I'm going to save it. That's good. So this car is this car has been assigned to Miles Ahead. One more thing remains for us to configure, and I'm just going to go back to the documentation. So for us to track the emissions during commute, this is a formula that you're going to use. You're going to take the number of days that you're going to take into consideration. You're going to look at the home work distance, and then you're going to multiply it by 2. Why by 2? Because you go in the morning and come back at whatever time. And then number of days in the office. So much as people work 5 days, 4 days, 6 days, most companies don't go all days to the office. Some they actually work from home. So those number of office days divided by 7, and then times vehicle model emissions, which we have already seen. Okay, so right here we have two unknowns: home work distance and number of office days. So let me just show you how to get those. So this Kia has been assigned to this employee, and this employee is Miles Ahead. So I'm just going to go to employee who is Miles Ahead, and I'm going to go to personal. This is where you fill that, and then here I can set the home work distance, and let's say it's 15 kilometers. And there you have it, folks. If you have ever worked in a place where you are required to live close to work, now you probably understand why. So I'm just going to save it, and that's done. Now that's one unknown down. So let's go to the second unknown. I'm just going to go to ESG app, and here is where you see collect emissions, carbon analytics, initiatives, and sex parity. Now already you can see there's data here. That's because I have already configured payrolls for the pay slips for the employees who are already in the system. But more of that later. So let's go to configuration, let's go to settings, and here weekly office attendance. This is the average number of days per week employees commute to the office. Others work 3 days, others work 4 days, others work 5 days, others work 6 days. So I just want an average. So I'm just going to work with 4, and I'm going to save. So now in my data, the info we are going to get for employee commute is going to be the number of days this car has been used, or this employee has commuted, times 2, because it's twice a day. And then into bracket, average number of working days, divide by 7, and then multiply by emissions per vehicle. So I'm just going to go to I'd like to leave and come back. So we are in the ESG app, and I'd like to measure emissions. So I'm just going to measure emissions, and I'm going to look at employee commuting. Remember, what scope is this? It is scope 1. So already you can see I have this employee called Miles Ahead, and the emissions have been 4. it's 0.01. Remember, the emissions were given as 295 grams per mile, and that is why this number is so small like this. But because here we are following the emissions as tons of CO2. So see you next time. I hope you enjoy this video.